All right, I guess with that, we will call this meeting to order. The Kaʻū Action Committee will now come to order. It is Wednesday, October 15th. The time is 5:03 p.m. This meeting is held in person by interactive conference technology. The meeting will also be recorded on Zoom. As a reminder for Sunshine Law, AC members appearing remotely must keep their cameras on and announce anyone who is with them except for minors in their location. We'll do a roll call and introduction. Committee members, starting with our vice chair, Pernell Hanoa.
Present.
Committee member Jesse Kay.
Present.
Committee member Babette Morrow.
Here.
Committee member Catherine Williams.
Here.
Committee member Kaʻū Mokuhaliki.
Here.
Committee member Lena Alaginos. Committee member Kaveni Ibarra. I believe he said he would be absent. And I am Chair Dathan Matthews. We have a quorum to hold this meeting. So as mentioned, committee member Ibarra is absent. County staff, we have from the planning department, Miriam Palma and Cabello Kalili. Also in attendance, Deputy Corporation Counsel Jean Campbell.
Do not see the chair online, so.
Will be joining us momentarily, it sounds like. So as a reminder, please make sure your cell phones are turned off or on silent mode. If there's anyone here who would like to testify, I believe there were these public comment signups. We received 2, and I will call these individuals at the time of those agenda items. If anybody else would like to speak, please make sure to sign up.
Zoom something up, please. You're bubbling.
I'm sorry?
You're bubbling. I need you to enunciate the words and look at what the audience, not down to the desk super speaking.
All right.
Thank you.
So we ask that everyone please state your name before speaking. To all of us who are attending here in person, please remember to speak towards the owl, and I will try to do so also.
Thank you.
So everyone can hear on Zoom. A gentle reminder, in order to comply with the Sunshine Law, all testimony and discussion must be addressing the specific agenda item the committee is deliberating. So if anyone has anything else to discuss that is not on today's agenda, that can be brought up at agenda item number 5. So that would be agenda for the next meeting. So testimony for agenda item 5 can be taken at the beginning of the meeting or later in the meeting when that item is called. So at this time, we will do approval of the minutes. The time is now 5:06. We will now consider approving the draft minutes from the July 11th, 2024 meeting. May I have a motion to approve the July 11th, 2024 meeting minutes as circulated?
A motion.
A second.
So we have a motion by Vice Chair Hanoa and a second by Nancy Kaʻū. Is there any discussion or would we like to move forward as submitted? No? So if there's no further corrections, then we will just have a simple roll call. All right. So motion to approve. All those in favor? Say aye.
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 All those opposed? Seeing none opposed, move that the motion is approved as distributed. Public testimony and agenda items. The time is now 5:07 p.m. The committee will now call for statements from the public. I don't believe we have received any public comment on agenda items except for these 2. So as stated in the published agenda, members of the public may provide public testimony regarding any agenda item now or at the time the agenda item is called to order. So again, if you would like to testify, please fill out the sign-up form and give it to the planning department staff. So we have two members of the community who have signed up to provide public testimony on agenda item number 1. So the first is Darren Arai. Well, and here is Mr. Arai. So please state your first and last name and a reminder of the agenda item you're commenting on, and you have 3 minutes for this agenda. Should we? Yeah. We'll just pull it forward.
Hi, good afternoon, committee members. My name is Darren Arai. I'm here assisting Black Sand Beach LLC with their special management area application that's been filed with the county. We would like to speak briefly to the testimony that we offered to you in writing dated August 12th, and hopefully copies have been provided to all of you. We're responding to the draft testimony that you'll be considering this evening on agenda item number 1. First of all, we would like to, I'm not going to rehash the entire communication that's on your agenda this evening, but we'd like to speak to the various policies that were highlighted in the testimony, the draft testimony that you have crafted. First of all, policy number 1, the testimony that you presented and considering this evening does recognize that the SMA application is consistent with policy number 1, which is to rehabilitate and develop within existing zone areas already served by basic infrastructures or close to such areas instead of scattered development. Much of Punalu, as written in your testimony, is within the state land use urban district and is zoned for urban types of uses, including near the shoreline. The proposed project, Punalu Villages, that's presented within the SMA application, attempts to do better by moving the majority of urban uses proposed by the previous development concepts for the Mauka away from the shoreline. We are also committing the entire shoreline frontage of the project site as a shoreline management area that is not going to be subject to further urban development. Also found consistent in your testimony was policy number 5, rehabilitate and optimize the utilization of designated resort areas that are presently served by basic facilities and utilities, and before new resorts are allowed in undeveloped coastal areas. Your testimony clearly notes that Punalu is designated as a minor resort. The proposed Punalu Village project seeks to rehabilitate this special area. Simply leaving this area as is not a solution to rehabilitating and revitalizing this very special place. Your policy found consistent, policy number 7, found that it's consistent with the land use policy map for the Kaʻū Community Development Plan as well as the general plan, which designate the project area as a minor resort area not exceeding 500 units. Your testimony also found consistent policy 27, which states that the intent of this policy is to protect the coastal area designated as conservation by the state and opened by the county. And the proposed Punalu Villages project attempts to do that. As noted in our communication labeled 2024-09, we respectfully disagree with the Action Committee's findings that the SMA application appears to be inconsistent with the following policy controls. One of them being policy number 6, states that it does not include affordable housing. We did note that the provision of affordable housing related to the proposed development is not a coastal natural resource concern within the special management area and therefore not subject to review or protection under the statutory guidelines of the special management area. We also take exception to policy number 28. A new shoreline setback should have been established. Punalu Villages complies with the intent of this setback policy by maintaining the primary project components approximately a quarter of a mile inland and committing the entire coastal frontage to a shoreline management area. We note that the committee's testimony speaks to the Kona Kaʻū Coastal Conservation Task Force, which attempted to establish a 1.5 mile no development shoreline setback We note that Punaluu is a developed community of almost 100 residential units, a beach park, and a boat ramp. This is not simply a piece of vacant, untouched land where no development stack can be easily established. Proper planning involves considering the existing use of an area when applying standards and not simply broad brushing its implementation. We also take exception to policy number 29, which speaks to necessary assessments were not completed, including for impacts on scenic resources, view plains, water quality, marine life, and cultural resources, as well as the impact of tsunamis and sea level rise. Decades of studies that were prepared for this project area recognize the importance of these lands, and the applicants focus on additional studies in the area that we knew would require updating, such as the archaeological study, the cultural impact assessment, and the botanical studies. Punaluu Village is implementing actions to protect these important resources by cleaning up, repairing, rehabilitating, and upgrading facilities, and preserving areas with significant resources. Moving project components away from areas of coastal flooding and sensitive coastal resources. We have been and wish to take further decisive action to improve the area so that all may benefit. We hope that Punaluu Village can be that opportunity where everyone comes together to help care for this existing community and marvelous coastal resources that is shared by so many within the community and by our visitors. I will be here for the rest of the evening, and any questions regarding our response, I'll be more than happy to address them.
Thank you, Mr. Ryan.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity.
All right, at this time, we would like to call Savory Yarrow. Please state your name, your first and last name, and that you're speaking regarding agenda item number 1, and I will also call you regarding agenda item number 4. Yeah.
My name is Savory Yarrow. I lived in the Kaʻū community for about 35 years, currently in Ocean View. I attended many of the CDP meetings in this room when Ron Whitmore was present. And so I am aware of how those guidelines were established and what the consensus of people that were present when they were established. I do not have a line-by-line response such as the foregoing speaker, but I do feel strongly that the general consensus was to limit the size of any resort that might ever occur at Punaluu and to push it way back from the shore unless they were willing to be heavily scrutinized. The quarter-mile line that we drew through the CDP was a minimum. The intent of people was to push things much farther back than that. But I understand there's been a lot going on at Punaluu over the years, and part of the reason that that prior resort stopped functioning was because of community response, because of Hawaiian cultural response, and a general insensitivity to how they were handling the land. And so I don't feel that the idea that just because there was a resort functioning there, that means there should be another resort functioning there. They were gotten rid of deliberately. And there is a resistance to another resort being there, especially at the level of that we're talking about 500 units maybe. Something much smaller might be in order. And personally, I would favor a nonprofit management of that whole scene there and a cleanup rather than a commercial venture that's doing that's basically sanitizing the area in order to make it attractive to their guests. I think their motive tends to lead to the results you see at other hotels, and it's not really sensitive to Hawaiian cultural values. So that's my objection, and that's why I think that the letter sent to the Windward Committee is appropriate, and that Ron Whitmore's testimony is accurate, and I would vouch for it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so we have, for those that just joined us, if you would like to speak regarding any item on the agenda, please make sure to fill out a public comment sign up. So we did receive an additional from Candace Kaʻū, if you'd like to speak at this time. So please state your first and last name regarding agenda item number 1.
My name is Candace Kaʻū, and I am the property manager down in Honolulu. So when people talk about cleanups, and the Hawaiian should be doing them, well, this Hawaiian is doing it. Not only just me, but my family. 3 o'clock the other morning, we got a call. 2 something in the morning, we got a call. Get fire down Honolulu. So what do? I get up, I go down there, and I fight the fire with the fire department, side by side, pulling hoses and everything else. I made a report. Everybody says it's okay. Punulu's normal. Punulu always burn. But why does it burn? They cannot say it was in an area that nobody belongs, first of all. Second of all, there's no sun. There's nothing there that could ignite this fire. But there's fire going. 2 o'clock, 2 something in the morning. The desecration that's been ongoing down in Honolulu is continuing. And I hate to say it, but it's by our own people. People talk about the tourists invading. The tourists have more respect for the Aina than our own people do. 30 years of desecration has been going on in Honolulu. What has been done? Oh, the nonprofit should come in. Like what? Nature Conservancy, which has been buying out lands throughout our islands, taking it away, blocking it off. Not even the kupunas can go down. They gotta apply. And it's supposed to be okay. This company is not trying to do that. This company wants to work a management plan for the community, with the community. We could pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for somebody to write up a management plan who's not even from here. But that's not what we're doing. We're trying to do it the correct way with the kupunas of the area, with the Kuleana landowners. Trying to do it the correct way. But people want to talk of all this desecration that's happening. This desecration has been happening and ongoing for generations. But now we're trying to put a stop to it, and it's a problem. There was a stabbing down there this past Saturday. Was he a local boy? No, but he's with a local girl. What happened? Cops get called. Do we get the call that something happened so significant on our land? No. So trust me, in this last week, I've been working with fire captains, fire chiefs, police captains, police officers, trying to find out the best way that we can manage and keep the area safe. Not only for the tourists, but mainly for our local people. I'm a local girl. My husband is born and raised here. A lot of you guys are. So when I say I'm here on the ground, rooted, trying to do things right down there, it's not for a damn paycheck, because damn well, no, I don't get paid good enough for to be down there. But I do it for the right reasons. And that's why I'm still there, still doing it, and going to continue to do it. Because it's the right thing to do. So if anybody else talk and say, oh, you know, we want this and we want that. Well, where were you all this time? Nobody's there. Nobody's cleaning. The kupunas is down there trying to clean up, weed eat, pull weeds, everything else. They're doing it. In their 50s, 60s, 70s, they still going. But all these young people, no mind you, I'm young too, but I'm on the ground doing it. And I like everybody see the desecration that is happening by these corporate nonprofits taking over all our shorelines, and not just Kaʻū, our whole entire island. So before people talk, they should research and really look into what is actually happening on our shorelines by these nonprofits that's supposedly helping our community, but they're really not. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen.
All right, is there anybody else? I guess that's our last of our in-person testimony. Is there anyone on Zoom who would like to provide public testimony on, well, I guess on agenda item number 1 at this point? No, seeing none. Do we have a motion for discussion and decision making on agenda item number 1?
Was the letter sent to the?
So at our previous meeting, just to provide a short recap, we had provided direction, I guess, to ourselves to draft the letter based on the testimony we had received in large part from Mr. Whitmore, and that letter has been drafted and I believe attached to the agenda, and hopefully all the action committee members were able to read the letter. And so at this point, we could discuss the letter, agree to submit it as it was drafted. We could make corrections, amendments to it. We could do nothing. We could do whatever the action committee sees fit.
Is it available to the public?
Yeah, it was this previous Thursday? It was, so I guess our agenda was like 80 pages or some large amount, 50, it was very big. So we couldn't print out that many, but it is on the website. And I think there's a link to it.
Thank you.
Jason, I'd like to make a motion that we approve communication number 2024, but I can't read the rest of the numbers on my copy. The memo to the Windward Planning Commission regarding testimony regarding Black Sands Beach LLC SMA application PLSMA 2023-000046.
Okay, so we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, as we have a motion, has been seconded. So, I think we need a roll call. Right?
Well, do we want to have discussion?
Oh, now we have discussion.
So we did that.
So now we can discuss.
So, right.
Yeah, so it'll be a discussion amongst the action committee, correct?
My question was, the discussion would be with the members, correct? Because we've taken on testimony. We haven't closed testimony though, right?
You can, it is closed now. You can reopen it if you guys see that. Okay. But right now, the motion is on the table. You guys are discussing.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
I just wondered if we wanted to make any adjustments or changes due to the response that we received from Darren and Ryan. I assume everybody on the committee had a chance to read it. I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, we received everything online, and my concern is that we don't have it all in order because we could only print so much at our homes. So hopefully in the future, you'll give us a packet, even if it's for only the members. Yeah. But going over what Darren verbal testimony today, I was trying to go through his written one, and I was getting different he was saying things that I couldn't find in his written one. But his, so the question that Catherine had is, with his response in writing that we have copies of, because I don't have what he said today. He's sort of summarized whatever he had. Should we not have a time where, because we've only had these for a few days by ourselves, trying to read it all.
Yeah, we can
To be able to work something out that we would try to see how we could work something out to address his rebuttal from what we as a committee have put together to the Windward Planning Commission. I think we would need some time for that.
I think what you could do is you can propose to, and Jamie, please correct me, but you can propose to amend the motion on the table to the request that you're proposing now. And you would be essentially asking for more time to defer the item until the next meeting.
Yeah, because it's quite a lot just to go through these two documents and figure out how we would do any amendments to our letter to the Windward, or to work with Mr. Arai on how we can work together. Because I truly feel that our community wants something done. We've heard overwhelming testimony for not having this development or this application go through. And we have heard people who are for the application. But we need to have a time where we sit with Mr. Arai, with, you know, however we're going to end up doing this, to see how we can either compromise or at least understand where each of us is coming from. Where we, for me, I represent our community, our Kaʻū CDP. And so I feel overwhelmed with how they have come forth, taking their time and their mana'o. And we need to take that into consideration overall. And yet, when he has presented in his testimony today and how he's written it, we also need to figure out, okay, how is that affecting our letter? And we haven't had that time. You know, and we all volunteers, we have our lives. So it's like, this is important. So we need the time to do that. So if, I'm not sure how everybody else feels.
I'd like to be able to sit down with our letter and this side by side and look and go over it.
So,
And we amend the motion.
so my recommendation, since our next meeting is in November or something, would be that if we were going to do that, that we don't wait until November to have the next meeting.
Can we do it now?
Do it on the meeting for?
Yeah, that we would figure out now when the next meeting.
Yeah.
Correct.
No, when I'm.
We can weigh it out. We can, that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
You're supposed to watch you.
I mean,
because it's somewhat related, because we're talking about the next meeting date, I just wanted to touch base with you guys now that planning, wanting to ask you all if you'd be available for a meeting on September 19th to have an agendized meeting. We wanted to do a forum check to see if you guys would be disposed, and with the intention of talking about general plan. But if we're already coming together for general plan, perhaps this is something that could also be put on the agenda. It might be too heavy an agenda. I don't know. We need to kind of think that through a little bit, but it would be an alternative towards the November instead of waiting until November.
So, question, are we allowed to have a special meeting of a committee to do this work?
Yeah.
Before that date?
Before September 19th.
Yes.
but would they be able to sit with Mr. Arai as an example, to have him there? How would, you know,
If we just want to make sure we're between him and us.
And then the only item on the agenda would be this item.
Yes.
And
Just
then
for
would we do that on
special.
Zoom, or would we do a hybrid format?
but that has to be public, right? You have to.
It would be publicized, but it can be publicized hybrid, and we can have, a more, I'm just trying to think of staffing capacity, and also being able to schedule with Mr. Arai.
So are we, I don't know, because you have these people who came tonight because of our proposed letter. And so this, because Mr. Arai's document, which was attached to the agenda online, has only been with us from last week. And so we haven't had time to sit with both of these to go through. Plus with his verbal testimony today, I related more to what he said and trying to read what he said in his document, which is, I think, 8 or 9 pages. And so you have to realize, again, we have a document that we have from our, which is 4 pages, and we have 8 pages for us to kind of put it together to make sense on how we're going to address what his rebuttal is to what we said in our letter. Or be as a committee say, this is what we came up with, and this is what we want to go ahead and do. And in the meantime, we still, I would say, be able to work on something within our community to work with him. Because I really feel that there's many of us here who were never privy to his, for the applicants' small group meetings or whatever they had. And I'm quite sure many of us were available, but nobody let us know about these Malama areas. During the CDP, we made it a point to each one of us who sat on the CDP to have small group meetings, which we were allowed to do, and talk one-on-one in small groups, because people are more able, or they feel more comfortable. If my next door neighbor and I got together in my house with her friends or her family, and we kind of talked story and we went over things like this, which gave us a better foundation when it was time for us to do the CDP. That I didn't get a sense of with this situation. Even though they said they met with the Kupuna Council, they did this and they did that. I don't know, because I've heard about it, but I was never invited to any of the meetings as a Kupuna, even though I'm not born and raised from here. I've lived here long enough. But I still think it's something that we can do together, but we have to be willing to work together and willing to be gracious and understanding. And I don't feel that that's where we're at. So, so we're in this situation. We have this from us that we want to submit. We worked hard on this. We have 2 people who got together because they could do it according to sunshine law and stuff like that. And we did good research on this as individuals to look and say, oh yeah, look it up at home through the last few months. So it's not something we came lightly upon. I'm quite sure Mr. Arai's information here is the same. He's paid to do that. So, you know, we don't want to ignore it, but how do we do something?
Can't you just submit it to the planning committee along with your letter? Could you simply submit those
That's what we're
documents?
discussing.
Yeah,
I mean, that,
the possibilities of it.
well, it seems like that's what the process would dictate, because we've already gone through the time when testimony is supposed to influence the committee. That's what happened up until this point when the letter was generated. And the rebuttals are valid, but that doesn't mean the letter should change. Those conclusions were reached. Just, I think
That's what we're discussing.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
So my recommendation,
Can I ask
It's as attached is what I think, is what.
yeah, we certainly discourage crosstalk, as we call it, but yeah, we will allow one question, yeah.
Well, because what is the committee's standpoint on it? At one point, were you pro?
So it's not for or against. The idea is that, you know, is there anything with the CDP that we feel is not in compliance? So obviously it complies with most of the CDP. If we feel it doesn't comply with something, we need to voice that, right?
But,
So this doesn't mean that it can still go forward potentially, but they need to address it, right? Is the idea.
but at the last meeting, when the letter was presented, that was drafted, it was more for the opposing people, right?
So again, the idea with the letter is
That's
that,
the question I.
right, so the idea with the letter is that it gives the applicant an opportunity to say like, oh, this is in the application, or maybe you missed it, or we thought it was addressed and we're addressing it, or whatever. So our effort is generally we submit things to the planning department. Because this is something that's approved by the Windward Planning Commission, we don't send anything to the planning director. I might have said planning department. Planning director, we send it to the Windward Planning Commission because they're the approving body. So because we, at the last meeting, we changed this letter, right? Or this testimony. So the action committee is discussing whether or not, as an action committee, we are going to provide our own testimony to the Windward Planning Commission. So our testimony at this point potentially would be that that the SMA application does not comply with certain policies of the CDP. So it's not saying we're, you know, for or against, but just that we feel that it may not be in compliance with certain policies.
And then you were gonna attach.
We're talking about.
Right, so.
No, you talked about it.
Right, so unfortunately, because of sunshine law, we can't all just meet with Mr. Arai and be like, hey, let's go meet on Saturday and talk about. We have to.
Can I?
Jason,
Yeah,
May I?
I wanted to say something if I could. We, like you said, and everybody else has said, we put our letter to the Planning Commission together, giving a thorough analysis of what the policies are in the CDP. And Ron Whitmore's memo was extremely helpful with that because he was very active in all of the meetings leading up to the adoption of the CDP. We've listened to the community. We've all spent a lot of time listening to people in the community. And I think personally, the most important part of our testimony to the Planning Commission is this application in compliance with policy 29 of the CDP about assessments on a lot of the environmental issues, the impacts on local green sea and hawksbill sea turtles, threatened or endangered species or their habitat, cultural resources, assessments on impacts of coastal scenic and open space resources and view planes, and on and on. I mean, there's like 6 or 7 different points. And we put this together, and it was my expectation that our action committee would be approving this or with edits to go to the Planning Commission. And personally, the way I feel is that Mr. Rai could then take his rebuttals to the Planning Commission, because what we're doing is responding to the wants of our Kaʻū community. And so I would rather vote on if we're going to go forward with this. I actually could download all of Mr. Arai's letter that he sent and went through his different points. And I think he missed a lot of these very, very important points that were made in policy number 29. And I guess we could take this to a vote, but I would just as soon move forward with what we've put together so far.
And just for the record, what the vet has said. We put this letter together. We didn't receive Mr. Arise because he didn't, I think he had a copy of this because it was attached to our last agenda, but he didn't respond until after our meetings. And so that's why we're in this quandary of trying to figure out how to put this. And your suggestion of whether we want to attach this, but I like the suggestion that maybe if Mr. Wright can send this to the planning commission, because I think we as an action committee should work on whether we want to send this or not, whether we want the motion is on the floor, we're discussing it, and I think we should go through with it because we worked hard on it. And some of you have worked hard on it. So that's on the floor anyway. That's what we're discussing, because I think the suggestions made by everybody toward getting these documents from the applicant and us, because we have heard from our community overwhelmingly, you know, it depends on which side you're on. And I don't think there should be a side. We're all from the same community. We should try and work together. So, but we need to move this along so that we can get to a point where we will hopefully work together, because it's then in the planning commission's, the Windward Planning Commission hand, that we would recommend that, yeah, let's do this together.
So I have a question. Is it in your guys' best interest to actually listen, do the research, like you guys proposed, said you guys did, okay? But our application was in for months. And how many CDP meetings did we have? And you guys were clueless about our application. Till now, people are still saying, look at this person right there. Against our whole project, you guys are building 500 something units. Explain to me, do we have 500 something units right now?
Right. Well, you know, so it's our job, again, as a planning, as an action committee, just to focus on the CDP, you know, so it's not whether it's 1 unit or 1,000 units. So if you look at the policies, and I'm just going to speak my opinion real quickly. So my issue was that we don't see the setbacks on the plan. So in his response letter, because I don't think it's a rebuttal, I'm just gonna call it a response letter, that doesn't have on the site plan what the setback is, because it doesn't really show where the property line is. And so that's why when Mr. Whitmore or whoever said they need to show the front, do a shoreline survey, that way they can establish the front setback. So it said, okay, that sounds pretty reasonable. You know, when we had met months and months ago, you know, one of the policies clearly states from the highway, you can't block the view. So provide that view. Right? If they have that on the plans and it shows that standing at the highway, the view of the ocean isn't blocked.
But you guys understand that this is a stepping stone.
Correct. So you can't approve something without that knowledge. My point.
No, of course. You can't approve it.
So we
without
need
it. No, wait, hear me out. You can't submit it without those proper measurements, correct? That's what you say, right? But until we get that, right now, this is just the beginning. It's just an application to see if we can even start the process. Now you guys gotta think, why should we spend hundreds of thousands of dollars for architects to draw up the plan and even deny it?
So yes.
That's the whole point.
So
It's like catch-22 right there.
So I'm gonna respectfully
I'd just like
disagree.
to remind the committee that we have a motion on the table and to the public that we have a motion on the table, and right now is the time for the committee to be just discussing amongst themselves.
So that's why, again, so looking at the main things in my perspective that we're stating in our public testimony is that pretty much what we're asking is the things we don't know, the things that weren't included, in my opinion. And I wasn't the one to bring it up. I did a lot of the drafting of this document, but that were identified. We don't know what the setback is because it's not provided. We don't know that it complies with preserving the scenic view because it's not provided. We don't know if there's gonna be impacts on a whole bunch of stuff because it's not addressed. And that's why we want to provide testimony regarding that. We're not saying we're against the project. We're not saying we're for the project. We're not saying anything. We're saying these things have not been addressed. And that's the testimony, in my opinion, that we want to provide. This isn't saying to the planning commission, deny the project. It's saying the applicant is not provided. You know, so yes, Mr. Arai, would you like to take the floor, please?
Thank you, Chair Masters. I'm not gonna go point by point. You know, I think I just want to provide our perspective on things. I would hope that throughout the proceedings, yes, the application was submitted to the department, and then it's going to go to it has gone to the Windward Planning Commission, and there's going to be this type of discussion back and forth where more information that may not be apparent in the application itself will be discussed and addressed. But it doesn't mean that the application is incomplete or is inconsistent. It's just that if there are concerns, how can the applicant address those specific concerns? And we would have thought that that same process would be afforded here, meaning that you can just look at a bunch of paper and then come to a conclusion, but are you allowing for proper due process, especially when you make a final decision? And once that decision is made, and I will attest to it, that a lot of time the decision makers henceforth, whether it's the county council or the Windward Planning Commission, will not go through the transcripts, the meeting minutes to really understand what it is that led you to the final decision. All they read is that piece of paper says, the action committee finds that the SMA application is inconsistent with the CDP. That's it. But that is not fair and due process. So as you can imagine, words mean a lot. Words mean something. Once you put it to paper, it's going to resonate, and it's going to resonate throughout the entire process, including the contested case proceedings that we're going to go through. So I'm just offering that.
All right. So on that note, I mean, I would be willing to say that, you know, the application should be continued to address the concerns of the CDP.
Can I say something here? No, you can stay there. The CDP, our committee, we're not decision makers, right? So as you're speaking, like once we have decided on this, we're not the ones that are going to make those decisions. All we do is advise or send at what we come up with, yeah, to either county council. In this particular instance, it would be the planning commission. So all we are doing at this point, and what this letter is actually, is just stating that, okay, according to your application, and then according to the CDP that is there, we have put down, I mean, maybe it's called inconsistencies, yeah, but it's in no way a decision that is saying we are for it, we are against it. All we are saying is in the CDP laws that were passed, this is what it is. So as far as the process, we don't have any decision-bearing process. All it is us saying to, we're just a voice, saying to the planning commission, this is what we have, this is what we see, and it's great that you have your response letter, but today is the 14th, it's dated the 12th, and I know a lot of us, like myself, I wasn't able to open that email until last night. So I read this at 3 o'clock in the morning just to make sure. No, but it's, so we really don't have, you know, I wish we had more time, because then we would have been able to maybe have had a discussion, a better, you know, a better picture of everything. But there are some, you know, there's still some things that aren't final yet, as far as what the CDP says and what your responses are. So I know that we need to move forward, because a lot of times 3 meetings went by and we weren't able to move forward because there was so much testimony. And so agendas, there are items that are on the agenda that were there from 6 months ago, you know, and we haven't been able to move past it. So I think in all fairness, and this is just my opinion, I don't know, either do a motion, but this work has been done. We have come up with, this is what has been found according to the CDP. I think that we should send our letter forward. I think that your response should be part of it. I wish we had more time to, and the ability, because of the sunshine law, we're not able to just sit down and talk storylines. You know, we'd have to do it now, and nobody, I don't think, is prepared for that. So I appreciate all that you've done. I know that you folks all work very hard.
Are you able to send this to the Windward? Because if we, our motion is to send this, okay, as is, with all the work that has been done. It's not only our work, but we got to this point because we have heard from our community. 3 meetings plus the planning commission, 2 long meetings where our people traveled all the way to Kilo for this. And we all have heard this over and over again, what our community wants us to look at. So that's what had us as a committee, as an action committee, buckle down and say, okay, we gotta pull out this document and, you know, so that's what we've done. So all we're doing is sending a memo to the Windward Planning Commission from the action committee and only advisory. This is what we are looking at, well, because of all what has been going on in the last few months. And so I would say that our motion to send this, and if we ask you to send yours, then at least we've got 2 documents that is with the Windward, and we let them figure it out. And we in the community can still work towards some kind of solution, if you call it that, or working together. There has to be some compromise, because it cannot be with overwhelming response in our community. I know you must feel it, and so we need to respond to that, you know, and that's what the whole CDP is about, and that's what we're about. We're here representing our community, you know. So I say we call for the motion and end this discussion, unless there's other members who want to say something.
Well, I would just like to review both of exactly what you said at the very beginning. I think we need some time to take a look at both of them. And then at least give us the time to do that.
Can I say something, because you everybody else?
You have a question, yeah, go ahead. Yes.
If you guys recall previous meetings, he has been here at almost every meeting. You guys had concerns. He asked you. Nobody asked him any questions. I want this on record, because he asked, if anybody has any questions, Mr. Morrow had a list. Not one question was posed to him. And I'm talking about being fair to all the community, period. How in your, be honest now. You guys will send one letter, the 2 people will create, not everybody was part of the creation of that letter. But then you get new information, but you're gonna go ahead and do it without fixing what, in all honesty, is that honest?
Well, so could we attach that to our letter?
I don't, well, the motion actually was for our letter. And so we would have to amend the motion, but I would hope, you know, it's not like we didn't do our homework. And at times when people were testifying, this is only me as an individual, is I'm thinking, okay, all this information and testimony, I have no questions because I cannot put everything together yet. You know, I have to go home and read all of the background. I have to know, I'm not gonna answer a question that I don't have some background to help me understand why I'm asking the question, because I don't know. You may think I'm supposed to know because I sit on this advisory committee. Well, I don't, you know, and I sat on the CDP and I still don't, because I'm only human. I kind of like, and plus I'm too old now either. But anyway, so this is not something that we came up with only 2 people. This came up through discussions, and we can talk to each other, but only 2 of us can talk to each other. So if Jason wanted to talk to me, but he sat on this committee, or we had allocated that these 2 people do it, he would be in what do you call violation of the Sunshine Law. So we have to try to figure out how do we do this, and listening to you folks was our impetus to get this going. And that's how we figured, let's do something about it with input from you guys, okay? Not asking Darren questions, because yes, this was the way we got an answer from questions. And so now we're saying, for all the work we've done, it's good work, and it's very good that we're addressing policies that all of you helped us put together in the Kaʻū CDP, which is now an ordinance, okay? So that when it's an ordinance, that means anybody who applies for something, you gotta follow that. Okay, so that's all we're doing as an advisory group. We send this off, Darren can send his off, rebutting this if he wants to, or trying to answer this. And to me, we're like 5 steps forward than we were. We always seem to be hashing over the same thing. So that's all to me that we want to do today. We can still, as a committee, as individuals on the own, sit so that we can feel good about what we did, or, oh yeah, we got to work together and look at these 2 documents on our own. But I think, I don't know about you guys, but I'd like to move on to other agenda items which are important. I think we've come to a point where we need to make a stand with an action. We let everybody know we appreciate you guys' input, and we appreciate the applicant for sharing with us, you know, and we all live in the same community, you know, so we can talk to each other. Let's do that, you know. So I just say, call for the question, let's vote, and let's do something positive. For the action.
I have a question. Corporation Council, are they here? So procedurally with the Planning Commission, so if we submitted this, are they able to either, you know, approve it, deny it, or continue it? Do they do that in Hawaii? Do they continue things?
Yeah, that's a question.
Good evening, everybody. This is Jean Campbell, the Deputy Corporation Counsel assisting the committee. I'm not sure that I follow the question. So the
so obviously if they approve it, so obviously if they approve it, it's approved. But if they deny it, can they like submit a application considering our concerns, or once it's denied, it's just denied? And then the other part of the question is that, can they just continue it?
Are you saying,
are you talking our letter?
No, the SMA application.
So what I think I'm hearing is, how does your letter mesh with their consideration of the application that's before them? So your letter will be public testimony that they will take into consideration, along with lots and lots and lots of other factors, and including if the applicant wants to submit their own rebuttal, for lack of a better word, to your testimony, that would all be material that would be considered by the Planning Commission when they take the matter up again. At that point, they will, having considered all of those things, they will make their decision about approve the SMA permit, don't approve the permit, deny it. they can approve it with different conditions than it was recommended to them by the planning director. So I guess what I wouldn't see is that they would deny it, but then reconsider it, if that was what you were asking about. No, they don't do that. All their consideration is kind of piled into one big thing, and your testimony, all the other testimony that they've heard, the results or any kind of recommendations or settlements that may come out of the mediation or contested case hearing process, all of that stuff is things that they will consider in making their final decision when they do that. Is that helpful at all?
Kind of. And then the third part of that question was, in Hawaii County, do they like continue items so that the applicant can make changes based on public testimony, or they either approve or deny?
Yes, they can work together with and I think it's usually a little bit complicated. There are certain deadlines that do apply to the decision making by the Planning Commission. If an applicant, and this I believe is true for virtually all of their processes, if an applicant sees that there is testimony that the commission is receiving that they feel in the moment may be leading to the commission deciding to deny their application, the applicant can always say, would you please put this on hold? Some of what I've heard are things that I would like to reconsider and see if I can change my application to address those things. So yes, that can be part of the process. It's not that said, there are deadlines, and off the top of my head, I apologize, I don't know exactly what they are for an SMA permit. Mr. Arai may know them actually better than I do, but there are deadlines they need to act on. But if the applicant says, oh, hey, I've heard these concerns from the community, from the testimony, from the commission itself, those are things that I think that I can change in my proposal. Can we put this on hold while I do that? That is an option if the applicant wants to do so.
Thank you. All right, so at this point, do we have any further discussion? Lubette, anything further?
No, thanks.
All right, well, would anybody wish to make a motion for? Oh, so the motion would be, so would we take a roll call to vote on it as
Yes,
as submitted? Is that correct? Yeah.
Good, so can the secretary or?
Could you repeat the motion?
I'm sorry.
You want
Could
to
you
repeat
repeat the motion? That's all.
Oh, yeah, that's probably a good idea. So I believe the motion is as stated on the agenda.
I believe the motion on the agenda is to approve the drafted letter as
You submitted.
Yeah.
As is, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so we have a motion. I don't recall. Could you repeat what? I didn't read it.
So the motion on the table is to approve the drafted letter communication number 2024. I don't know the rest of the numbers, but it was that drafted letter that was submitted to approve it as is and submitted to the Windward Planning Commission regarding the Black Sands Beach application PL-SMA-2023-000046.
All right, so we would just vote on that.
That's my understanding.
Yes.
And it was made by Babette, right?
Yes.
But that, I believe,
That was her motion.
motioned it, and it's,
I believe it's going to be blocked with a roll call.
all right.
So are you gonna pass or you want to pass?
No.
His response, not that.
No.
No, so it would just be as,
No, it's
Yeah.
fine.
okay,
It's about time.
all right, so. All right, so do we just have a roll call vote? All those in favor? Or do we go
One by one.
one by one? So Vice Chair Hunro,
No,
committee member Oh, I can never remember.
Aye.
Aye. Committee member Eno?
Aye.
Committee member.
No.
Committee member Williams?
No.
No. Committee member Kay? No. Committee member Morrow?
Yes.
And I am Chair Masters. I'll say yes. So I think we still have a split vote, so it doesn't really matter, right?
Majority. 4-3. No.
4-3.
No.
We need five.
So we got
4 yes.
4 ayes, 3 noes, the motion doesn't.
Yeah, we need five, right?
Okay.
All right, so do we want to have another motion? All right, so I propose a motion to consider Mr. Arai's response to our letter, so that we may consider this letter at a meeting on September 19th or sooner. Do we have a second?
I second.
All right. Can we have a roll call for, do we have any discussion regarding that motion?
Well, I have a question, Jason. Given how we receive information and how we cannot discuss anything with each other, what will we be doing anything differently before the September?
I can meet with Derek as an individual. We just can't all meet, right? I can meet with him as Jason Master. I can't meet with him as the chair, right? So if he has, if we want to talk story, we can talk story. But we can't all talk story.
But does that mean that we will write a new memo that we will present to the rest of the action committee on September 19th?
We could. Yeah.
I just want to make a suggestion that we give ourselves, the committee, a certain amount of time, that each of us go home and be able to compare the two documents, make any suggestions for amendments to our letter, and give those to the chair so that he can talk with Mr. Arai before the September 19th date.
So Corporation Council, would that be in compliance with the Sunshine Law?
Unfortunately, no, that one is not, because that would, no, this is where it's super frustrating. So you, and actually I'm going to correct a little bit about what you said, Chair. You as the chair can go and talk to Darren on your own. You're allowed to do that. Each one of you could talk to Darren individually. What you cannot do is talk to each other, and you cannot serially talk. I know, right? It's crazy, but this is what it is. You cannot have serial communications. And so by each of you communicating about the same thing to the chair, that's where it turns into serial communication and it gets problematic. One thing you could consider doing is any of you that have questions, you know, and and I'm sorry, I don't know everybody's name all that well. And from what I can see on Zoom, I don't get everybody's name all that well. I like Member Morrow's suggestion that you all take your stuff home and read it carefully on your own. At that point, any one of you, after you've done that, or even before you've done that, any one of you can reach out to Mr. Arai and ask him whatever questions you want to. And that wouldn't be a serial communication because he's not a member of your committee. And so what you could do, what you could think about doing is each one of you, and I think this is a follow-up, and I'm afraid I don't have anybody's name who's not on Zoom. A follow-up to what you could do is put together your own notes about how you would consider any changes to the letter, if there are any. It may be that you, after talking to Mr. Arai and looking at the comparison, you still like it the way it is. So what you could do is essentially each go home, do your homework, talk to Mr. Arai if you have questions for him, make your own suggestions for yourself about how you would change the letter, and each of you bring your suggestions back to the next meeting and compare notes with one another and say, I would do this. Does anybody else agree with me? A little bit unwieldy, but that one is something that you could do. And that way you don't have to go through, you know, tons and tons of discussion necessarily. Or you could, I'm not sure, I apologize again, I'm not sure how you put the letter together in the first place. You could follow that same procedure and have a small group, you know, 1 or 2 of you work on the draft and present a revised draft to everybody again.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Also, just so the committee has all their options, and I just want to remind you that you could also technically create a permitted interaction group that is a more lengthy option, because that will require 2 subsequent meetings after this to do that. But then you could have more members together.
Right, that's 3.
You could have 3 to 4.
Oh yeah, it's not a 4.
Yeah. But it's all the time.
So the expectation is we would come back to the meeting on September 19th with enough draft put together that we could finalize this and finally get it moving.
Or at least conceptually. I mean, I know that drafting a letter is not something that is easily done in a meeting. So agreeing on the exact wording in the meeting is probably unwieldy, but you could get to the point that you could have the concepts down and then authorize perhaps your chair to work with the planning department to finalize it immediately thereafter and submit it. So you could get it to a point of being, if you're comfortable with your discussion and the ability to agree on the, you know, the concepts that are going to go into any revisions, if there are any, you could do that and then trust him to do the drafting, or anybody on the committee. It doesn't have to be your chair.
Well, I'm uncomfortable with any of those. Yeah.
Community input, you guys documented people in opposed this versus the people that are in favor of having documented this.
I don't think we've been keeping track of that, but I think I'm certainly familiar. So, but I don't think it's something we've been tracking necessarily. But I'm certainly familiar. I mean, I've watched every hour of the planning commission hearing. I've obviously been at all the meetings, so you know, I think as Antile has said previously tonight, that you know, we're really trying to get this right. You know, it's not that some of us are for or against it or whatever. It's that we're all from Kaʻū. We all live here. You know, we all care about what happens, and we're trying to make sure that we get it right. You know, and it's not something easy, and you know, we want to make sure whatever
CDP rules, it will be right.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what we're trying to do.
Right? So
and within the confines of the sunshine.
at the time that we put into everybody.
A lot of the questions are subjective. It's just somebody's opinion of saying whether it's within guidelines or it's not.
That's right.
So I think we just need time. That's all we ask for is time to look at all the information we got. But we didn't have that time because we got bombarded with testimonies for the last 6 months.
Yes.
So we just need some time. I don't see what the big deal.
To be clear, the opposition does oppose. The 4 is not for all of them. So we've had discussions as groups with the development. I know I, for one, in the group, but it's not like we're for everything. You know, and they're willing to compromise. But so the ultimate question is how you present it, because you gotta follow your criteria.
The thing is,
All right, yes, last question.
if you take the time to get all the facts, then if you're gonna present a letter as a group, it's gonna be an honest letter that everybody can agree with facts.
Yeah, we want to make sure that we get it. All right, any more discussions? Can we move on to agenda item number 2?
So are we
Yes.
making a motion that we are?
I think there's already a motion on the table that I presented and somebody seconded to
For the 19th?
for September 19th or sooner. Yeah. So do we roll call? So Chair Hanoa,
Aye.
Committee Member Kay,
Aye.
Committee Member Morrow,
Yes.
Committee Member Williams,
Aye.
Committee Member Mokuhali'i, Committee Member Eno, and I am Chair Masters. Aye. So with that, I believe it passes unanimously. The time is now 6:18, and with that, we will move forward to business item number 2, egress and ingress at Greentown subdivision regarding Kaʻū CDP policy 118, section 5.7.2, discussion and decision-making on prioritizing policy 118 regarding hazard mitigation and evacuation routes. So I believe the planning department, GIS, had attached a aerial incorporating the roads and parcels. I was hoping to see our volunteer fire chief here this evening. I do not see him. So do we have a motion for discussion?
Well, I have a question. Ron Ebert, like you say, the captain brought this up many times at many of our past meetings. So I'm not sure what the process is today. Do we need to, and I'm sorry, I know that council has told us this, but I still have questions, to set up some kind of committee to research this and come back to the action committee with recommendations. What's the process?
Well, I think first we should probably have a motion on the floor, if I'm not mistaken, Corporation Council.
I guess it depends. So if you want to form a permitted interaction group to go out and, you know, essentially create a subcommittee to look into this further, you could make a motion to do that. And as I think you guys know, the permitted interaction group process is a 3-meeting process. So this meeting, you would form the group, so identify the members who are going to be on it, give them their task that they're going to take on and do, and then that's all that you have. I mean, you can discuss the task and whatnot here and have other discussion that you want to, but as far as the group goes, that's all that would happen. They would go out and do their work, and then at the next meeting, they would come back and give everybody else a report. But there can't be any discussion at that meeting. And then at the 3rd meeting in the process, then the entire committee can discuss the report that you got from the permitted interaction group and do any other additional decision-making that you want to do.
So what happens between the 2nd meeting and the 3rd meeting?
It's just an update.
Yeah, essentially that is the full committee's opportunity to take in the report and, you know, understand it, digest it for yourself, come up with any discussion items that you might want to have for the whole committee and whatnot. So that would be, it's the period of time when the people who weren't in the permitted interaction group can understand and digest the information that they got from the report from the permitted interaction group.
We make a motion at this meeting. Okay, so I want to make a motion to create an investigatory committee.
Permitted interaction.
Yeah. Permitted interaction.
Permitted interaction committee. To investigate more of the egress and ingress, or item number 2.
I will second that motion. All right. Now
how many members can we have?
Now
how many members can be on there?
3 to 4.
3 to 4. Okay. I'll be on this committee.
Yeah, I will volunteer.
I will volunteer.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's great.
Anybody else?
But that you close by. Huh?
It's the same process as you guys
Yeah.
did.
Honolulu, Mahana, Maui.
Sure, I'd like to be on the committee too.
Yeah, okay. So it looks like at this time, we are proposing that Kathy, Purnell, Babette, and myself would be on the permitted investigatory interaction group for
Item number 2.
yeah, let's call it item number 2. Do we have any further discussion?
I think you have to specify the goal.
So I think the goal of this, or would you like to give your motion?
I believe the goal is to meet with fire chief and to develop or hear a proposal to address
Evacuation.
the evacuation and mitigation routes for green sand subdivision.
Okay, only for that area?
It's specific to
That's
that.
what, yeah, just for the, yes.
Okay,
And a vote.
yeah, is there any further discussion regarding this motion? Babette? No?
Aye.
Okay. All right, with that, we will have a vote. Vice Chair Hanoa?
Aye.
Committee Member Kay?
Yes.
Committee Member Morrow?
Aye.
Committee Member Williams?
Yes.
Committee Member Mokuhalii?
Aye.
Committee Member Eno? Yes. And I am Chair Masters. Aye. With that, we have a unanimous decision, and we will form a permitted interaction group to study evacuation route and mitigation routes, hazard mitigation route for egress and ingress at green sand subdivision. All right, the time is now 6:25 p.m. We'll now move on to business item number 3. The Pahala water bottling facility. Discussion and potential decision making on findings regarding the Pahala water bottling facility. So hopefully you received the rather extensive documents that were attached to the agenda last week. Is there any, no? Is there anyone who would like to provide testimony on this item who has not already done so? All right, seeing none, does anyone wish to make a motion for action on this item? Yes. Babette.
Oh, well, maybe I should, I just wanted to point out that this was approved by the planning department in 2017. I knew this was an item that was brought up by John Replogle, and I thought it was worthwhile discussing if there was still something that our action committee could act on.
So would you like to make a motion so that we could discuss it?
Okay. Let's see. I move that for the Pahala water bottling facility that we consider potential decision making.
Okay. I will second that motion. Yes.
My question is, we are making a decision on the findings regarding the Pahala. So that's just that we find that all of the permits have been approved. Isn't that correct?
So, wait.
Where are we at?
So the way the agenda item is written is so that it allows you folks to discuss and find different pathways of decision making that you might want to do. And also just for Jason, to give Jason the opportunity to kind of speak to what he's already discovered, or any other committee member on the documents that he's attached to the meeting.
Yeah, so I've known about this for almost a year when it was first brought to my attention, and I've been trying to get this on the agenda since at least last November. We've been continuing other agenda items that have precluded that from occurring, so I'm happy that it's finally here. So this was approved back in 2016 by the planning department. I am not aware of any permits that have been issued. I'm not saying they don't exist, I'm saying I'm not aware of any. My understanding is that the Department of Health has to issue, how is it worded on here? In order to actually get water out of the ground, they have to have approval from the Department of Health. So, so I think part of the effort is, if we so desire, that one, we could either set up we could request that the property owner, applicant, business owner, whichever, that might be all the same entity, maybe come here, we could invite them, we could reach out to the Department of Health to see if any approvals have been obtained regarding the water. Everything that I have that was attached to the agenda is from the planning department. So it shows the buildings that are proposed, as the architectural, the surveys, a whole bunch of stuff. So it's a
No, but it was shut down by the committee,
Huh?
If I don't know if it's in.
So I know for the Punaluu item that we kind of went back to the Wild West, but if you'd like to speak on it, I would ask that you fill out a public comment, sign up and sit here just so that it's for the record, because you probably know more than us, so just so we can hear it and everybody knows.
No, but Jason, you have to give us good information.
Yeah, so that's why I wanted to bring this, and that's why all of our approvals were attached. Unfortunately, it's, I don't know, 30 pages of documents, and that's why they're not all printed out. Yeah.
No.
This is for number 4. So my recommendation was that we either reach out to the applicant and or the Department of Health, and I believe also the Department of Land and Natural Resources. Right, so, because they can build all these buildings and do all their stuff, but they can't do any of it until they have Department of Health. And so it says, the owner / applicant shall receive approval from the Department of Health prior to the construction of the proposed system or modifications, blah, blah, blah. Use of new sources of raw water for public water systems, new and modified public water systems, meet with all rules and regulations regarding the water bottle facility, and also receive approval of the Department of Public Health prior to the construction of the proposed water bottle facility. So, and then it also mentions the DLNR. I just lost it. Receive, comply with all conditions and requirements. Chapter 6E, the State of Hawaii Department of Land and Natural Resources. Prior to any, no permit shall be issued prior to construction, alteration, disposition, or improvements of any nature. So I guess until the State Historic Preservation Division has given its concurrence. So I don't know what that's regarding, but that's what it says. So I know there's, I guess, the old warehouse maybe in the back is a State Historic building. I don't know. Yeah. So I think that's what requires the Department of Health approval. I know they have like that old weird thing, it's like a reciprocating well, kind of weird situation. But I don't think they can use that to bottle water. It probably wouldn't be during water.
So do we need to make a motion to create a investigatory committee to
We could.
research?
Yeah, we certainly could. So I'm open to any and all recommendations. So I was hoping that we would either investigate it or at a minimum, write a letter to the Department of Health or both. So I am open to any and all recommendations.
Has there been word that they're moving on it at all? I mean, where does it stand with that?
As far as I know, in the last 8 years, they haven't really done anything. So I think another question perhaps for the planning department would be, how long are their approvals good for? Because everywhere I've ever worked, those would have expired 6 years ago. So how long do planning department approvals last for?
I mean, is this still ongoing or is it, I mean?
Those are all questions that I hope that we can find answers to.
So are we able to ask the planning department to update us on this situation and come back to us?
Yeah, I guess with that.
Do we need what's that called, committee?
Another
thing.
So would that be a question for you or for Marion?
Can I testify on it now?
Yeah, so while we're waiting, we do have Gwen Sorensen regarding item number. Yes. Yeah. All right.
Okay, my name is Gwen Sorensen. As far as this water project, how did it come to the CDP?
So several people had notified me about it, and they
By word of,
I don't know how they found out about it, but they individually, because
I don't know if it's on record, but I know years ago it was pursued and it was shut down by the community. Because first of all, where is the location? So we know what we're talking about.
So it's at the old sugar.
Okay, it's a factory.
Yeah.
So I definitely it was shut down by the community. But like I said, I don't know if it's on record.
Right.
But I'd like to know how this became, like how it got on the agenda.
Well, I was the one that put it up.
Yeah, because somebody brought it up to you, right?
Yeah.
Okay. There was a rumor in Pahala when they were clearing to do the fire breaks.
Right.
And because Pahala is Pahala, one of the workers said, oh, because they're gonna open up the bottle package. So it spread like wildfire, yeah. But Jason, if you wanna go and pursue it, because I wouldn't, if the owner didn't come to you, to the committee, you know what I mean? Yeah.
That's why we're suggesting hopefully through us.
Okay, so because the people, somebody brought it.
Yeah.
So you have to address it. Okay, that's what I wanted to
Just find out.
Yeah, okay.
Still on the.
Okay, so, okay.
Have them.
So you guys go from a investigating committee to them.
I believe that.
Okay, that's the route you're gonna.
When you say it was shut down, what do you mean?
But it was a project that didn't go through. Because like I said, it was permitted and nothing moved. But the community did speak up that they didn't want it. And at that time, they were saying, oh, how many plastic bottles would go around the world, whatever, you know. But it didn't follow through, although they got the okay. So, yeah, I suggest you do form a committee to to find out if you should put time into this.
Well, I would rather have first, where do they stand? So through the planning department, can you both find that out for us?
So,
The owner,
No.
yeah, oh,
No.
so is it possible to find out through the planning department if these are, I mean, so,
If this is a valid project.
well, yeah, so what we just received, as far as we know, this is still
you gotta.
present, right? They haven't expired,
Yeah, that's my knowledge, yeah.
so,
The last time we did that.
right. Cause the email that I sent for the attachments, that was from this year, late last year.
Yeah.
So,
So it's still active.
yeah, the approval is
There's
still
no
active.
deadline, so they're not meeting any deadline.
So once the planning, like procedurally, once the planning department approves something, how long are those approvals good?
So my understanding, because this area, that parcel is zoned industrial or something like that, they didn't need to pull permits or anything like that. What they did, their final plan approval was kind of like coordination with, I believe, the Department of Public Works, because they had to remodel the facility to change it from, I believe it was a mill, right? To a water bottle facility. So they, because of that remodeling thing, that's why they had to go through that plan approval process, along with whatever they had to do with DPW. Because I'm sure they had some building permits and whatnot, whatever they had to do, but the land itself is already zoned industrial, so hence they are permitted. So there's no permits that have expired or anything like that, because there would be no, in order for a permit to expire, it would have to be a condition in the permit, but if there's no permits because it's already entitled, then that process doesn't.
It's almost like a buy right.
And so then the water is a nice point that Chair Masters brought up, because as far as he's found out is that they haven't got the water entitlements yet. And so that process, usually, it might go through CWRM or something like some other Department of Health. And so to see where it is in that state, because if it's going before a board, if it's being, heard by another department, then that's an opportunity for you guys to write a letter or to participate in that process. But we don't know where that's at. So something the committee considered, like earlier it was mentioned that you could reach out to the developer or the water bottling company and see if they'll send a representative to give us an update. Or we could check, see if Department of Health might have an answer to see where it's at, or something like that is another option. And then, so
I got a question. So does the Department of Water has overriding jurisdiction over how water, like how cultural resources get used?
they work with also, I believe, the Water Commission. And then it depends, because water also is managed also at the state level. So there's also, so it kind of depends where it is in that process and whatnot. So, I don't know what CWRM stands for, but that's also another agency or commission that will.
So DLNR has nothing to do with it?
I don't know where DLNR.
Right.
They're involved, I see their requirements. There's a whole bunch of.
And so I guess I didn't fully finish looking through all of what you submitted, Jason, but I don't know if there's any it sounds like that's all from planning. I don't know if there's any documents that we might be able to find from, let's say, request a request of records to Department of Public Works to see where they are on that kind of thing.
So with the public trust, like,
the Department of
the public trust.
So that's the water. Water is the water.
Right. What level is that considered? Is that considered in a state?
And so that's where we would have to look in to see what they already have entitled to them. And if it's obviously a water bottle plant, we would imagine it takes even more. So if they had to ask for more, and so if that's the case, then we're in that process. But considering, right, this is 2016, so, but my understanding, everybody is, testified that they're not operating yet. So then where, definitely nothing to look these plans show.
Yeah, 160,000.
My question is actually be with the use, how water is used, especially out here in Kaʻū. To just go sell our resources to make money and not being used to grow nothing. Or,
so we could look into seeing, I mean, they must have to, mention what wells they're planning to tap into, or if they're drilling their own. So that would be things to, maybe the committee could do a program interactive group, or maybe we just designate 1 to 2 members to look into this more thoroughly, to plan and support you, of course.
Remember, some of the community thought it was from Wood Valley. You know, so, because information is not complete.
Well, there's gotta be records of those meetings.
There-
I went to
there
the
is.
meeting too, and it was, I remember when it was defeated, it was like.
Yeah.
No, so-
All of
They approved it, but since the community went after, opposed it, the owner just.
Oh, they did,
Yeah.
we didn't hear this, I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, to grant you, maybe it'll, you know, come up again, because it was brought to you. But you should look into it.
Well, I think like you mentioned, the reason it was probably brought up to me is because of those fires, and so people saw all the land clearing, and so they thought that something was happening.
Well, like I said, our communities do this to rile up the people. You know, you're one of that. Yeah, right.
All right.
An action committee then, like towards you, let's pursue, connecting, contacting these people.
Yeah.
More
I
information.
think we start with there, and then if we want to form yet another interaction group, we can.
Yes.
You remember all out there. When the person. Yeah.
So what we're trying to say is,
Yeah.
is that, 2 of our members hopefully during that.
Okay.
That, pursue trying to connect with the people who you have hearing or communication. And then bring them to
Okay. So maybe like.
Do we official? Do we need an official?
Well, so that way, we make an amendment to the motion on the table and say the committee vote to, delegate 2 members of the committee to go out and do fact finding on this project. On behalf of the AC, then those committee members, Jean, correct me if I'm wrong, then those committee members would be able to use the AC's name and say, with the AC, and I'm looking into this and, you know, X, Y, Z, and then they will bring back all that. They can give updates because they won't get from there, and give updates at our meetings as you guys know.
So we have to.
Do you want to be involved in that for now?
Yeah, it's there again.
So.
You in for now?
Yeah, we'll be involved.
So it'll be you 2 then?
Okay, okay.
All right, so not me then, I'm cut off.
Oh.
You got the next one.
What? I don't know, I'll do whatever you guys want.
Okay, so.
All right.
We need a motion for that?
We have to amend them. Right, we have to amend.
All right. If it's gonna be 3, more than 2, then we got 1. Will be you 2. Wait. I thought did you make a motion?
No,
Wait a minute,
or maybe I did. I can't remember.
Okay, so.
It was a long time ago.
What was the motion?
Well, the motion was just to discuss it.
Right, so why don't we just withdraw that motion and make a motion to take 2 members.
But if
So withdraw your motion.
But we don't take, right, we just do it 2 members.
is it gonna be you 2 then?
No, we and,
I didn't hear you.
You 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, after you withdraw the motion.
Yeah. All
So
right.
I'll withdraw my motion. I'll withdraw my motion.
Perfect, good job, thank you. All right, so with committee member Morrow has withdrawn her motion. Do we have a new motion on the floor? All right, I will, yes.
Withdraw your second.
Oh, and the second,
So I make a motion that we ask, for Purnell and Catherine investigate or to get fact finding.
Yeah.
Do I have a second? I mean,
I'll second.
All right. Did you want to include contacting the Department of Health?
Yeah, all.
Okay, so we have a motion for Vice Chair Hanoa and Committee Member Williams to investigate, to do fact finding regarding the water bottling facility, including contacting up to and including contacting the Department of Health, the DLNR, and the applicant regarding the status of this facility. And other actions as you see fit. Yeah. Wait, you had the motion? And it was seconded?
I second.
And it was seconded. All right, so we have a roll call. We have Vice Chair Hanoa.
Aye.
Committee Member Kay. Committee Member Morrow.
Aye.
Committee Member Williams.
Aye.
Committee Member Mokuhaliki.
Aye.
Committee Member Enos. And I am Chair Masters. Aye. The motion carries unanimously. The time is now 6:49 p.m. We will now move forward to business item number 4. Kaʻū Coastline and Resources.
Okay.
Review and amend draft letter regarding protecting cultural sites and natural resources in the greater Kaʻū area, particularly Mahana Bay. So if there's anyone who'd like to provide testimony, make sure you fill out a public sign-up sheet. I believe we have several. So first we have Paul Mukukane. Please state your name, your first and last name regarding item number 4.
Paul Mukukane, born and raised in Kaʻū, lifetime member of this district. I'd just like to thank the committee for their volunteering time and trying to get this straightened out so that our community can move in the right direction. Yeah, so I think the agenda was about the resources and things at Kaʻū. I've been part of, and I'm speaking on behalf of myself and not on the association because I belong to Kaʻū Hawaiian Homes Land Association. And I think you guys should contact the Department of Hawaiian Homes Land. I think they can inform you guys more about what's going on at Kaʻū because I think they had hired 2 consultants. One was Townscape to do the landscaping down there. And just recently they had Maho Papa that were looking after burial sites and cultural significant sites. So I think they could provide you with more information. But being here that I'm a beneficiary of the Hawaiian Homes Act, you know, I thought the Department of Hawaiian Homes was to rehabilitate us Hawaiians, get us back on the land. But it's been a struggle. I mean, I've been on the waiting list. In fact, I tried to put together, like back in 1985, had the department to come out here and register people so that we can get our neighbors back on the land. And still today, we're still waiting. Last week, we had a meeting. I think there's 9 classification on the land. The department sent down some of the consultants, and now they want to have 13 designation on land. So I don't know where they hit it, but I thought their thing was to like help the Hawaiians rehabilitate themselves from Jonah Puhio in the Hawaiian Home Act that was created in 1912. I get frustrated too because I told the commissioners, you know, if I was to wait for them to give me my land for Gueron, I'll still be waiting. And I'm still waiting. And then like during the process, they always changing. I think in the start was giving 40 acres so you could start up a homestead. I think what the state states now about the native people leaving the islands, they should be given the elders so the elders can distribute it among their descendants. Because to qualify, you need to be 50%. But if you get the award, then you can give it to somebody who's 25%. If they wait for a 50% person to die off, the 25% will never get a chance to get on. So I think you guys should really invite the planners from the Department of Hawaiian Homes. One of the contact person is Andrew Choi. I think he can provide you guys with a lot of information because we're just beneficiaries and they do a lot of work at the department, but still they have to go before the commissioners to get it approved. As far as access down at Kaʻū, I don't see why, because they get cash, you know. Shorelines of Hawaii, you know, it's like, if you believe Kaʻū created this one law where you had the right to go down and gather your resources at the beach. Today I'm hearing guys from the community opposing people from going down there and getting the gathering rights together. I don't know who qualifies for the gathering rights, whether you need to be Native Hawaiian or what, but I'm not gonna get into discrepancy in who's, I think with OHA, it's just one drop of blood. But I know those lands out down there are managed by the Department of Hawaiian Homes. And that's all I can provide for you guys. And my comment to you guys is go ask the department. I think they can provide you guys with more information. And thank you guys for.
Just a quick correction. That was Henry Barber. They were fighting for access, and he won, and that was Kaʻū. So people can go down and gather.
Oh, and you said there was an Andrew Choi, like CHOI?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Oh,
Chow. All right, thank you. And we have Mr. Dinkaniho. Would you like to state your name, first and last name regarding?
Hello, everybody. Dinkanio, Kaʻū, born, raised, still here yet. Couldn't die and bury me here too. But anyway, the discussion on Kaʻū, you know, they want to say be more discussion than what is being brought forth right now today. But as Paul was saying, you know, the department has a lot of issues that never got addressed for the years. It's been 15, almost 20 years between commissioners and chairmen. Already addressed our panels with the commissioners, as well as the chairman. And the chairman is Carly Watson, if you guys not aware of. It was assigned by the governor. And our Hawaiian Homes down there has been overrun by all means, everything. Naomi got issues of drugs now is now coming about one issue down there for us. There's also activities that is, they've been ripping our steel poles off, cutting our wires, cutting the water systems. I mean, it's unnecessary that is going on. It's not running the Kaʻū area, it's outside of the Kaʻū area, but it's all Department of Hawaiian Homes. The protection of this so-called Kaʻū point was set aside years ago. 700 acres was put in place, but they neglected to secure and protect the artifacts that is down there today. It still goes on with people running their vehicles, their bikes, the tracks. I mean, you name them, like I said, they got them. And testimony over testimony has been brought forth to this department. And I just got into again with them, doing because of this illegal activities that has been going on down there. By the ripping off of personal staff that we work hard to put in steel, and yet to manage our lands as Hawaiians for fire protection reasons, keeping our grasses down, and the prevention of any type of fires that might occur to the department, to the Hawaiian homesteaders that has their dishes as well. The public has been accessing our lands too long already. And I think our public needs to understand that these lands is Native Hawaiian lands. It's not public lands by no means. It's Native Hawaiian. The beneficiary, we all call ourselves the 50%. And the livelihood for everybody else of our race, for the 50%. But our beneficiaries
was neglected the lands to be awarded to them due to the long wait list. But Kaʻū was always one issue, and the department has failed to do anything. I come forth to just bring this up, or what discussion was brought forth to you folks prior to me speaking. I have no clue. But that issue down there is pretty much far along. Those artifacts and those hayouts and those mooring areas is full of shit. Excuse my language. But it's the department. It's not, but if anything that can be done here today with the CDP right here, bringing light to these concerns, by all means. You definitely is a light in my eyes, because I personally went and addressed this issue for the last 15 to 20 years. And it's the same old thing. They change your commissioners and they changing your chairmen every 4 years. And for the last 20 years, it's been a chairman and commission issue. And I don't know what's with the commissioners, but they say if you go in front of commissioners and present your case, it's like your case, your day in court, that your address shall be looked into. They has failed us in all means, in all ways. And it's sad. But they now moving forward with a water system down in our area. They might bring some kind of activity with more life, with the livelihood of our Hawaiians being in that area. But the public access that I did bring forth to them in the last commissioners meeting, that is abusive. Our lands has been raiding, and I bring this forth as a medical issue, that if there was a such thing called cancer on a piece of property, it's cancer. It can be fixed, but if you put good professional individuals on them, you can maintain something as that. But the wear, the tear, the roads over the roads, and the erosion over erosion is amazing. And they tend not to look. The ignorance of our department is sad. They put blinders in front of them and just to look forward and just to turn their head to say, this is all going back. Tomorrow it's all going to be okay. It's going to be gone. But no, our land is going to be gone. Kaʻū is very much important for the livelihood for everybody in Kaʻū and the kids. And to let them know, these Hawaiians came from our area. They landed in our area in Kaʻū. And to set forth as a presence in Kaʻū as Hawaiians. But this 700 acres, if you guys can bring light to bring this department to understand what went wrong, thank God for you folks, man. By all means, do what you guys can. But with that, thank you.
Thank you.
Jason?
Yeah.
Thank you, the two people who just spoke. That's why we put this on our to-do list. I think it was probably 2.5 years ago when this action committee was first formed. And we've talked about it a lot. It keeps getting postponed because of the Black Sand Beach discussions, but we did put together a letter that addressed a lot of the concerns that you just brought up in pointing out what the specific policies and objectives and advocacy that are in the CDP concerning this area. We had some research. Kaveni came up with a couple of studies. There was one in 2012 and one in 2016 that both prioritized. The one in 2012 prioritized 2 projects that were to be implemented by 2015. So you could see where that went. But to develop vehicular roadways and pedestrian pathways within the coastal area of Kaʻū to manage access to Kalana Bay, the fishing grounds at Kalai, and protect sensitive resources. And listed a whole bunch of different things that they recommended to be done. And there was another one prepared for the Hawaiian Homelands Trust in 2016 that basically said the same thing. Their summary was the main near-term priority is to gain site control by managing vehicular access. So we put together this letter that's communication number 2024, I think it's 05. Our role is to advise the planning director. So this letter goes to the planning director, as well as CCing our council people, state representative, state senator, the governor, Department of Hawaiian Homelands, Division of Land and Natural Resources, and Hawaiian Homelands Trust, urging them to do something. We've had testimony from the community. We know that people are concerned, and they've done these studies that they need to take some action on. So that's why we're proposing that the action committee approve this communication tonight.
So I know we're normally finished at 7. Do we have to stop? Because we have one more individual that would like to speak, but I also want to vote on this, so we don't have to continue it yet again.
I think if everybody is capable to stay a little bit longer.
Is that person wanting to speak on Hawaii?
Yeah.
Okay, and then I think and we already have.
Yeah. Okay, Tissy Kaniho, would you like to state your name for the record regarding agenda item number 4?
Aloha, thank you for doing what you guys do. My name is Jeanette Kaniho, also known as Tissy Kaniho. I too have the blood of chiefs in my veins. I raised a child here, and I've been here for 32 years, taught school. We worked with DHHL on Townscape, Dean and I, together with them. They literally spent $100,000 to work with those people and then just flushed what they found. Kalai is sick, and there's a massive amount of drugs coming out of there. And I know this because I've seen it, and people are coming to me saying, what do we do? I've been down there and watched the drug interaction. Our children are dying from this stuff. We've got to get a grip on it. We've worked with DHHL. We've been there crying to them. My husband has been there just working with them, working. Nothing seems to get done. That is the heartbeat of Kaʻū right there. And what are they doing to it? Toilet paper and feces everywhere. People are all high down there. Young kids breastfeeding on the pipe at the point. We need help. I'm looking at you folks. I know you got a tough job, but we're losing our children to something that we should be controlling. And I've been here for 32 years. Like, again, I taught at the school. I graduated many kids out of that school with hopes and dreams for them. You've all been down there. You know how desperate that place is. There's so many people down there. Now, during COVID, they closed down all the beaches island-wide. They all came down there, and a lot of them didn't leave. They're still there. And they think they have a right. They're telling us to leave. My husband spoke to that guy that was cutting our fences. 2 weeks those fences were up. He had an AR-15 down there shooting it in the air. And finally, the police came down and they did get him because his son, my stepson, caught him. We need help. I don't know who to turn to anymore. Because it's Hawaiian Homelands, it's hard for the police to come down there and really have any discipline on them. So anything you can do to save what is left of our heartbeat, it's what we need. And we need help. And I'm willing to help. If I can help you guys, let me know. Tissy wow.
Thank you. All right, with that, do we have any, is there anyone else who would like to provide testimony on this item who has not already done so? All right, is there any further discussion on this item? All right,
A motion that the letter in our packet that we send this letter accordingly to Mr. Zendo Kern with CCs to all the people so stated. And it's a start for us to bring it to everyone's attention with the testimony today, which gives me goosebumps, and I'm like, let's get on it, let's do it. And so I make a motion for us to send this letter off and that we have some follow-up soon.
Go ahead.
A second.
All right, we have a motion and a second, and I would like to state that it does say formally a plan of action with a projected completion date. So hopefully they can do that. So we have a motion and a second. We will now do a roll call. Vice Chair Hanoa.
Aye.
Committee Member Kay.
Aye.
Committee Member Morrow.
Aye.
Committee Member Williams.
Aye.
Committee Member Mokuhaliki.
Aye.
Committee Member Eno.
Aye.
And I am Chair Jason Masters. Aye. With that, the motion carries unanimously. The time is now 7:08 p.m. We do not have time for agenda item number 5.
What is it?
Do we?
It's just, things to be added to the agenda, right?
No, it's like cadence.
Uh,
The cadence. If you wanna add, if you wanna add.
That is number one next time.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess maybe we do have time for agenda item number 5. The discussion of action committee meeting cadence. Discussion and decision making regarding the scheduling, logistics, and format of future meetings. Is there a well, first, would anyone like to provide public testimony regarding this agenda item?
There's 2 people.
So I think we have Mr. Gary Davis.
Thank you guys for being here. Appreciate all your comments.
I had guided people to put agenda item number 5, but we have business item number 5 is what we're actually on right now. So wait one more. I'm sorry. Sorry, so it would be that Roman 5 is what they are testifying.
Oh, agenda.
The new business kind of.
Oh, chairperson,
Yeah, so actually this
no,
meeting
agenda.
cadence item, that's not what they're testifying.
Oh,
I see.
So they'll come back up.
Okay, all right. So would anybody like to speak regarding action committee meeting cadence?
Okay, that's scheduling and logistics. Yeah. So as an example, what you asked earlier was to meet in September. Where would that be? Are we gonna do the thing like if you meet here to the next meeting would be in Ocean View? Is that how we're gonna?
So because, so what we do try to do is keep that rotation going, in general. Now, that's what when we set out that year, this year's meeting cadence, and we established all the meetings that we were gonna have this year, that's what we did when we did the booking of the venues. However, for these special meetings, we've been kind of catering it to where the conversation was, and the request from planning has been for that September 19th meeting to be held in Kahala. Because the venue is a little bit more, we don't know the turnout, and it's a large venue at the Ocean. We struggle to find that large room to have a meeting. So that was that. Just but outside of that, for our regular cadence, that is my goal to keep that rotation going.
Okay, because we can't, just for discussion, because we can't go up to Ocean View and to be thinking of people who have to go farther. So how are we able to do the venue here for our next meeting? Because we're doing on the agenda, I think we have to do Kennedy Woodland, right?
Yes.
And then we wanna do catch up on other stuff. So would that be something we could do?
So we can look into it, and then we definitely just have to make sure it's open and available and everything. Yeah.
Okay. And then thereafter, because so much is going on in the past, The action committee said we would meet, what was it, we would meet quarterly, and we found out that that is too far apart. And because we have items brought to our attention and are still ongoing, and the water bottle thing and stuff, I think we need to change that and meet more often. But I know your focus schedule comes into play, right?
Right, so I think from planning, the only thing you should know from our side is that across all the action committees, we can offer something more to one committee or other. So committees are either meeting monthly, every other month, or quarterly. So that is kind of where you guys can be deliberating on. I do want to keep the committee aware that Wednesdays, I believe this is the first Wednesday, but either the first or second Wednesday of the month is taken up by Kaʻū. You're all running those already regularly.
They meet monthly?
I'm sorry?
They meet monthly?
They meet monthly. Kaʻū meets monthly. So that would be a conflict on our schedule. But first, I believe it's first. Okay, we'll pull it up right now, but I believe it's the first Wednesday, if not the second. So, unless we have a conflict with another committee, and depending on what you guys deliberate right now, it's kind of work.
So are we able to set up like a 6-month period that we can say, because we have all the important things that we need to discuss, to come up with, say, a monthly meeting, if that's all we working to their schedule with you guys? Or is there any other suggestion you guys want to do?
That's what I was thinking.
I'll make whatever month.
What was their suggestion?
I'm suggesting
Either
monthly.
Monthly or rather. What do you think?
Because of all those important things.
Yeah, put me every other month would work.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine, yeah.
And if we gotta have a special meeting, we can.
Then do September and maybe October, just do boom, boom, and then go December.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So good.
So what are we doing? September, December.
Yeah, we do the September.
September is a special meeting.
Yeah.
September is a special meeting. The next regularly scheduled meeting right now is November, but we can change all of this.
Right. So what we would like to do, I think, is to go every other month. Not, so September being a special meeting, so we would go September, October, and then December.
And then December.
Yeah.
Okay.
The September is special, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then October is a regular.
So we'll have 3 more before the end of the year.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe go early in December, so everybody.
Yeah.
September, October.
Yeah.
December.
Early in December.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, do we still want to keep Wednesdays?
I can meet any day. Everybody else days are.
Everybody.
Yeah, Wednesday works.
Don't change it too much.
Not in big and bold. Okay, so.
Yeah. Wednesday is good. How about, is Wednesday?
I think your idea sounds great, Catherine, and I'm free any night of the week.
Okay, let's go with Wednesday. September is gonna be 30, right?
19th.
Is a special.
Yeah, that's a special.
So do we need a motion on this or?
Yeah.
That's so long.
Yeah, can we, listen,
Yeah, I really.
can we? Excuse me,
Do we need a motion for this or?
is this just a plan?
Can we,
So maybe what planning can do, just to make sure we're looking at the calendar, like we're not missing anything right now, maybe we can send you guys some tentative dates. Maybe in a doodle poll and you guys yay or nay the different dates to make sure that kind of works. So we'll start that cadence of every other month, starting October. And then project that out and make sure we don't have any conflicts.
At the end of the year.
And I'm hearing right now, most people don't want, but there is a preference for Wednesdays. From everybody.
Definitely prefer Wednesday.
Definitely prefer Wednesdays. Okay, and so we can kind of, I don't think we need to vote on that right now, correct? If I'm wrong, Jane, but we can just, this is something we just talked about if we disagree. So planning will get back with more days, but as far as we can tell, everybody is in attendance for September 19th.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
I will actually be there in person. Yay.
All right.
So
Okay.
September is in Pahala.
September right now is scheduled in Pahala. And then October, are we shooting for Ocean View perhaps?
Yeah,
Because,
huh? See if we can find
something. We have been keeping in mind, we have been getting a little bit more of a turnout lately, and Honolulu will again be on the agenda. So
Now you want to do, so the special meeting is, you want to be Honolulu again.
we'll have Honolulu again.
And what else?
And then the general plan. So planning staff wants to come and give a presentation.
What do they want? Do they want to, we have people here who are.
Yeah, directors.
They want to put something on.
They want to testify on the, on the next item on the agenda.
Yeah.
And then that's something that we can, the committee can consider and put on the October agenda.
All right, so does anyone want to make a motion, or we're just gonna move forward on the agenda? All right, so with that, do any action committee members have any items that would like to agenda? No? All right, so Mr. Gary Davis, would you like to take a seat, take your name for the record regarding agenda for the next meeting?
I'll be back. I know everybody's hungry. Sorry for the wait. No, it's okay. My name is Gary Davis. I'm not born and raised in Kaʻū, but I've been here like over 50 years now. I raised my family here, my kids, my grandkids, my great grandkids, and they never left. They're still here. I just like to talk about the trash problem, the transfer stations. I retired from the county last January 31st. I worked for environmental management. I was the working supervisor for solid waste division out here in Kaʻū. And I just feel, I've talked to a state representative and a county representative. I'm not going to name names yet, but I just trying to put it out there, Facebook. I was going to do like some kind of, I don't know, a sign-up sheet. I feel that the transfer station should be open 7 days a week. I know it's a hard process because I work for them. We were in charge of hauling everything from home, all the trash, the metal recycling, the white goods. We took care of all the transfer stations out here, and it's a big job. And I know that they have issues with manpower, just like any other company. But every district on this island has one transfer station open 7 days a week. At least one open 7 days a week, and Kaʻū doesn't. We don't have one 7 days a week. It's been, I know, over $1 million up here at YP with all that concrete they poured up there. So I just feel that if they want to get rid of like illegal trash dumping around the island, around the district, the transfer station got to be open if people are going to throw their rubbish. So I just feel that, we should at least have one transfer station in Kaʻū open every day, 7 days a week. And I would think that would be why, because they have all the resources. Yeah, and then I know when I was working, some days it was only me coming to work. But I know now they have a lot of, they have some employees. I think they're pretty much, the staff is pretty much filled almost in Kaʻū. So I don't know if we would like write to, I was gonna do the petition thing and all that. But I think you guys would probably be a bigger help. I mean, I could still do that. Go that route, but I think we need one transfer station open 7 days a week.
So what is it now?
Now it's 3 days.
3 days?
Yeah, 3 days Pahala,
3 days. Well,
Yeah, I think Pahala and Ocean View is the same day. And then, the opposite days at Wairui. But you know, they spend a lot of money over there. You can see all that concrete they put in. And they got new equipment and it's like people are showing up every day. So I feel that we should open one station 7 days a week.
Well, we can see about putting this on the agenda for a future meeting.
You know, I don't know, I guess you maybe contact environmental management or.
Pursue getting signatures.
Yeah, I get it, yeah.
Community involvement is always the key.
Yeah.
Like a petition.
And that way, when we do bring it to a future meeting, you'll have something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I brought it up to, like I said, state, county, one of the big chiefs for environmental management that lives in Mahalo.
Yeah, you would talk to
Yeah.
BIM.
So, but yeah, thanks for your time.
All right, and we have Mr. Lorenzo. Mr. Lorenzo? Wait.
Yes.
All right, please state your name, first and last name.
My name is Wilmot Lorenzo, and I live on South Point Road. The problem is the water situation. There's the family land there for about 70 years, and they say that when they put utilities in, we'll get opportunity to get water and all that. And in 1987, the county stopped giving water to residents because this is the infrastructure of the pipes can handle. Now this is 1987, it's 30 years ago. Nothing been done. We no more water.
Where is this? Sorry, where is this?
South Point. South Point and
Road.
South Point Road, yes. And I live like on about 2 miles. And I live, the worst part about it, 200 feet away from where they end the new line. And then they never continue after that. And I call up water supplies. I talked to Kurt guys and all that. You guys know all that. I went go see mayors, everything. And everybody said, oh, we gotta look 1 year. They still looking. I mean, you guys get computers. I mean, that's what I think, And then this, like I said, this family land was there for over 70 years. And then we ask for water, they tell us, oh, no can. The infrastructure of the pipes and all that. From 1987 till today, nothing been done. And we pay tax money, and we do all that. And there's big improvement down South Point now lately, And then what hurts us a bit the worst is we had that land before the outsiders can come and get land, and some of them get water. Now, I'd like to know what the Planning Commission can do for help bring water down to us where we can get water. Well, I don't need to go with my car to get water. It's not easy. Like I said, 30 years ago, and everybody giving me the runarounds over there. I think you guys should help work out. They put water tanks down South Point without water. What's the sense of that? Why spend millions of dollars on something that you can fill up because of water, because the infrastructure is not going to hold? That was to me, it's a waste. And we live way up and the community cannot get water. There is a problem. There is a big problem with the county and the water, in the water division that I think should be addressed over there. Because that's not how to live. We people gotta go with their vehicles and go get water, and because there's plenty big lots. So plenty guys can buy water from the water trucks will come give you. So we gotta get our own.
So
and I've been fighting for over a year.
So Drew Kaʻū, because we did Jesse did the blessing for the water tank and stuff, but according to Drew Kaʻū, he's supposed to already have the money for run that water line. all the way down to Makai, all the way.
From where? From the highway levy
From the
sometimes?
highway.
That's right. Yeah.
And for go all the way down below.
That's what I said. They came from the highway. They came down 2 miles. Stop.
Okay.
They stopped the project.
It was supposed to go.
You know?
Yeah.
And then, yeah.
You're already
You know, and then
Yeah.
what makes us feel bad, me and my family, is I call water supply. They tell me, oh, you only stay 200 feet away from them. And I told them, hey, that family lot was there for 70 years. How come we not can get them then? 200 feet, you can bring a water line 200 feet down. I can bring a water line 200 feet down for, you know, at least my family. Because animal, cattle, animal, big ag lot is just one house. And then I bother them, I talk to them, I don't know response anymore. Wow. I mean, you mean the rights is not one first on the list nowadays? You guys making a way the animals gonna get them or the farmers? I mean, I don't think it's right there. I think that is unconstitutional to me. You know, people first. You know.
You know, there.
Yeah.
So why don't maybe 2 of you?
Yeah, we gotta see what we can do about it, and then if we can put it on.
Yeah, because I tell you, I mean, it's been too long, 30 years. And then when I ask them, they tell me, oh, we gotta go back and look at our papers. I mean, I'm not that educated, but you guys get computer. I mean, how hard for you to learn computer? Yes.
For now, in PTSD, do fact finding, yeah. And
Yeah.
then, because they've had experience of nesting and whatnot.
Yeah.
So, I make a motion that we have Jesse and Cornell, do fact finding.
Yep.
And bring back some things.
Yeah.
Whatever you can, the sooner the better.
Yes.
Yeah, the sooner the better. I mean, because like I said, humans first. You know, I mean, it's frustrating. Yes, I would appreciate that.
All right.
Okay, thank you. Oh, thank you very much for your guys' time.
Thank you, brother.
Okay, brother. Mahalo.
All right, all those in favor?
Bye.
All those opposed? Seeing none opposed, motion carries. All right. No. All right. Well, I do not. I don't have any chairperson announcements.
No, not yet. Well, not possibly. Oh, we have it in the Nobel and it's.
And then these.
The meeting's still going.
For our regular.
Yes.
Clarifying agenda, but I think.
All right, I do not have any announcements. Do any committee members and staff don't have any other announcements to make?
Just thank you very much.
I will now adjourn the meeting. The meeting is adjourned at 7:30 p.m.
Good job.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Hey,